But when I was sort of in my late teens, early 20s, my version of health was very obsessive with what I was eating and then also train as much as possible. I didn't have any kind of deeper knowledge in terms of just how my body actually worked, what nourishment it needed, train twice a day. And in my mind, I thought I would end up sort of reaching the goal of what I wanted at the time, which was like very slim, you know, slightly muscular, that kind of look. But I just ended up building so much muscle and like so much inflammation.
Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of Catch Ups in My Kitchen with me, Georgia Simmons, host of the podcast. This podcast is about all things food, health and wellness, and in my kitchen this week I am joined by Manon Eleri, who is a mum of two, a model and a holistic health coach, and we have a big old chat about all things health and what health actually means, and we go through Manon's journey through modeling and her relationship with food and fitness and how it's changed, being a mum, how her priorities have changed. And our overall message in this episode is more the happier you are and the less stressed you are, the more healthier you are. And the minute you stop putting pressure on things, the more things kind of just seem to fit into place. So this is a really refreshing episode. I loved recording it. I think you're going to find it super interesting, really refreshing, and just a great episode about all things health with some great recommendations, which we all love. So you're in for a treat. Thank you so much in advance for listening, and please keep supporting the podcast. I know you don't think about following a podcast, but if you can press that follow button, it does mean the world and really, really helps Catch Ups in My Kitchen grow. So thank you so much, and let's welcome Manon to the kitchen. Manon, welcome to my kitchen. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm really happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. Do you mind giving a really quick elevator pitch? Who you are and what you do, like the hardest question.
It is actually. So I suppose fundamentally, I'm a mum of two. Like that is my biggest role. I've also been a model for about 13 years, and I'm kind of entering more into the wellbeing space. I'm a certified holistic health coach. So that's kind of like what I do. But I suppose, yeah, it depends in what kind of world I'm in as to, you know, who I am. Do you know what I mean?
Completely.
So many things to many different people, probably.
Yeah, different hats, which I love.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a quick fire round to kick things off about all things food.
Okay, cool.
So, cook in or eat out?
I think cook in with my kids around and eat out without the kids.
Okay, yeah, good answer. What's your favourite restaurant in London?
Oh my God. I'm such a do you know what? I feel like I've been such a hermit. It's meant to be quick fire, isn't it?
It's okay.
I'm going to Lisa's on Saturday.
Oh,
yeah.
have I been?
Been once before, and it is amazing. Okay. It's in Marylebone.
In Marylebone.
Yeah.
Someone else has said this on the podcast, and I'm like,
really?
okay, I need to go. Yeah, this is the second one.
It's really good.
Go to Deliveroo.
Cocotte.
Oh, is that French?
It's rotisserie chicken.
Okay,
They have one in Notting Hill, and then they have one in Queen's Park, which is where we are.
Okay, nice.
And if we get it, that's literally the only takeout we get.
Yeah. Okay, good one.
Yeah.
Go to cuisine.
Probably Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong.
No. Go to fridge or cupboard staple, which isn't the basics.
I think recently it's been coconut milk, like tinned coconut milk.
Oh yeah, like to add into like soups, curries, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. I actually saw a video recently, and they were like, a really good thing to get is like the coconut cream, and then you use like a spoon of that.
Oh, and then water.
And I was like, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm gonna try that.
I think it's because my go-to like easy quick thing is like a stir fry, like a prawn noodle stir fry, and I find that makes
easy.
it easy.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that, what's your favorite dish to cook at home?
So either that or a shepherd's pie.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's like but I'll make it with sweet potato.
Yeah, nice.
It's really good.
Yeah, love that. Okay, I want to start with like your late teens, early 20s, and how your health looked then, or what you perceived as your health looked then and now, and how it may have changed.
Oh my God, it's definitely changed. Do you know what? So growing up, my mum was a nutritionist for about 10, 15 years. She practiced when we were kids. And so I'd say I had a kind of, a general healthy outlook in terms of food. And it wasn't ever something that I didn't not eat, if that makes sense. I think obviously being in the world that I was in, it was quite common to sort of starve yourself pretty much.
Yeah.
And I knew that I knew that wasn't the route to go. But when I was sort of in my late teens, early 20s, my version of health was very, very much, obsessive of what I was eating, and then also train as much as possible. So it was like the more I'm training and the more that I'm being healthy with my food, the better the outcome. And it just, it couldn't have been really further from the truth. I didn't have any kind of deeper knowledge in terms of just how my body actually worked and what nourishment it needed, and also what it needed movement wise, so that I wasn't super, super stressed.
Yeah.
At the time, a really close friend of mine, she started going to the gym, and she was doing like competitions and stuff like that. And so we would go together, and so I would train twice a day. And in my mind, I thought I would end up sort of reaching the goal of what I wanted at the time, which was like very slim, slim, slightly muscular, that kind of look. But I just ended up building so much muscle and like so much inflammation that I was like putting all this work in and like dedicating all this time and energy to it, and I just was not getting what I thought I would get. And so I was really kind of, like, oh my God, like everything that I thought in terms of, just train as much as possible and you'll be in really good shape. It's actually not that simple for women specifically.
And then you probably like overcompensate, so do it more and eat less, because you're like, oh my God, it's not like working.
What's happening? 100%. And also I think what it was it was a really nice, rich, like I got into the rhythm of it at the time with my friend, and it was being able to spend time with her, which was really nice. And so I think this is what's kind of difficult with habits, is that it's the emotional piece that you get from specific habits that are the hardest to break. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I realized, hang on, actually this isn't what I should be doing, I don't think, for me and my hormones and like where I was at and what my goals were. But I just really loved spending time with her. So
that's so true about habits, because habits are really hard to make. When you've made them, whether they're good or bad, the good ones are great because you've made them and then they're in. But the ones that might seem good but are actually bad are then really hard to break, because habits are habitual. So it's hard to break them regardless.
But it takes, I think, like 3 weeks or something, doesn't it, for a new habit to solidify. So that was kind of my outlook at the time. It was very kind of just the old school way of train more, eat less.
And I was going to say, I think it was very much I know I had this as well. It was like a less is more approach, where I feel like we're both on the same page now, whereas like more is great in terms of like what can we add in rather than what can we 100%. Take away.
That's exactly it.
So when did you switch, or when did things start to change for you?
So it went from kind of bad to worse first. So I managed to kind of get to kind of like a general, I think I was probably about 19, and I felt quite good actually. I kind of went through like a phase. I kind of changed my training and just did a lot more body weight, and did it, was improving in some ways. But then it wasn't until I got to about 2021 and I came off the pill. I was in Miami at the time, and I came off the pill because I thought, maybe I'll like lose an extra bit of weight. And it did the complete opposite. So I was like over there and I just inflamed like everywhere really puffy. And and my agent at the time was like, whatever you've done, like you need to undo it.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's
I was only
scary.
like 19. I was obviously 19. I'd obviously made the effort to like get a visa and be there, and and then I came home and I basically decided, okay, I need to figure out what's going on, because I don't want to stay on it, and then because I went on it at 15. I mean, so many girls do. And now looking back at it, knowing the things I know now, I'm like, wow, to not have had that time to create my own rhythm. And because I didn't even know until not that long ago that you don't actually have a proper period. It's like, are you on the
I've got the coil.
Okay, fine. Okay, like a copper one.
Yes.
Okay, I've had that too.
Yeah. The whole contraception is really interesting because like I think when you get to 15, it's also like you don't want to talk about it, you're still young and you're like, oh no, I don't want to even have these conversations, like I'm embarrassed or whatever. And your natural thing is like prevent, and you'll do anything without doing the proper research.
Oh my God, no idea. And also, but I think that's the issue with the system itself is you're not going to do research at 15 years old, are you? You're not going to go home and go, oh, what? Because it's so normalized. And yeah, it's so normalized and we don't get told any of the side effects. When we are given something like that. But anyway, so I came home and basically decided I'm just going to come off it and do it now rather than wait 10 years or 5 years or whatever. And so I came off it, and then within, like a month, I had like chronic acne, like cystic acne. Like I'd wake up to a new breakout every day.
God, that's crazy. So your hormones were just like,
my hormones just
exploded.
Boom, like this. Yeah. And when I thought it would kind of do the opposite, because I was sort of, I went from being really, really classically model looking slim at 15. And then as I got older, I think it was probably partly the pill as well, actually, that was making, made my boobs bigger. Had a little booty.
Everything worked.
And then, I just thought it would do the opposite, because everyone's, when I came off the pill, I lost weight. And and it did the complete opposite. And I just inflamed everywhere. And obviously then I was like, okay, I'm just going to train even harder. I'm going to be even stricter in my diet. And it was just a whole load of stress basically on my body.
That's horrible. And so what did that look like in terms of like a day in the life of you then? What did like being even stricter, like did it get really bad? Were you skipping meals? Were you like...
I wouldn't say I was skipping meals. It was more that I was just obsessing over what I was going to eat. So like the day before I would be like, okay, I'm going to have this, or I would, if I went to a restaurant, I would check the menu before and like check if there was something that I could have. Or I would sort of say, okay, I had sweet potato at that time, so I'm not going to have that at that time. Or I'm, and just became very like meticulous, kind of like, I like swapped everything. I did the whole kind of like health food thing where I would swap everything, and I would, have all the, go to Planet Organic and just buy a load of stuff and be like, oh, it's fine, it's healthy. Yeah. And actually, no, it's still like processed. There's still added stuff, I mean, I love Planet Organic, to be fair. There's some great things in there. Yeah. But just, that classic kind of, health food thing of, like the vegan option or the this option or the gluten-free option. And actually and truly, a lot of it is actually full of a lot of crap.
Completely. And and also probably not right for your body. I think, again, everyone's 100%. Body reacts differently.
So different.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it looks like. And I couldn't tolerate anything. I couldn't tolerate gluten, dairy, sugar, obviously. But I mean, that's kind of, you don't really want to have loads of sugar anyway. Yeah. But I just found, and it took like a good sort of year and a half to kind of rebalance, and it just ended up sending me down a completely different route of how to look after my body.
So then what did that look like?
I think I just slowly, do you know what, a big part of it, so funny enough, I met my partner when I was in the thick of this.
Okay.
So I was actually like in my worst state, like, with myself, I guess, not mentally. I feel like looking back on it now, I feel like I still sort of managed to feel quite good mentally, but just physically didn't feel myself. I was like, when I would look in the mirror and be like, I'm not vibing with this isn't me. And we basically started seeing each other around the similar sort of time. And I think taking myself out of the obsession, so not to say that like to fix your problems you need to meet a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but that was just my version of it. It was almost like it took me out of like this obsession with it and just made me just relax and have fun again. Like when you first start seeing someone and like you're doing fun stuff and you're just being with each other and you're so present and you're so like just that
that's your focus.
It's so
in a way.
It just gives you so much. It's just a massive boost of oxytocin and serotonin, and then that what that does to your hormones is great.
I love that, because I also think there's a lot of pressure on people who are single, let's say, get comfortable being you, like find your happy place, like get to the best version of you, and then once you're happy with yourself, you'll find the person. And it's like so much pressure on finding yourself and finding your best version of yourself for then that person to come meet you.
Yeah, totally.
When actually someone can come into your life at any time.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what stage in life you're at.
Yeah, exactly.
And they could then make you the happiest version of you.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, you don't always have to have the answers. So I think that's quite interesting.
Totally.
And so what does health look like to you now?
I think health to me now fundamentally is just being in tune. Like being in tune with yourself, being in tune with your body, just having that real like strong mind-body connection. And yeah, being in tune with nature and that deep kind of inner trust that where you're heading is where you're meant to be going. And I think the ways in which you achieve that is through good nutrition, whether that's like food, whether that's your relationships, whether that's, you know, passionate about your career, spiritual practice, like all of these things basically feed into your ability to be in tune.
Yeah.
And I think that is the optimal goal, I think.
Definitely. And so let's start with food. Do you have now like any kind of like pillars or like non-negotiables? Like, I don't really like the word diet. Like, what's your diet?
Yeah.
But like, what are your, like, what do you love incorporating? What are your kind of like food pillars, I guess?
Totally. I would say the basic fundamentals for me are organic whenever possible. Organic whenever possible. It sounds boring, but just like quite balanced. I'm not like an extreme person. I do take on board a lot of the kind of ancestral ways. So like quality meat, good quality meat, you know, grass-fed if possible. I love raw milk actually, but it's not that easy to get. So, you know, non-homogenized milk. I went down the whole route of kind of like, you know, the alternatives. So like, and I'm very much kind of, you know, good quality grass-fed butter. I start the day with a protein and fat-rich breakfast.
Nice.
If I'm not, you know, if I can, I say that, I mean, this morning I like grabbed some cottage cheese pancakes that I had in the fridge because
that's great.
Which technically is that. It's just obviously in an ideal world, I'd be kind of sat eating, you know.
Yeah.
So I have to time it with my boys a little bit. It's not kind of this perfect scenario. But yeah, protein and fat-rich breakfast.
Is that normally savoury?
Say that again. Sweet or savoury?
Is it normally a savoury breakfast?
Normally, yeah. Normally, yeah. But I think a good alternative, if you're the type of person that kind of, because obviously it would be better to be savoury, obviously for your blood sugar. But if you are the type of person that just really leans towards more of a sweet breakfast, I think cottage cheese pancakes are a really good option because you can top them with yogurt, a bit of almond butter, maybe like a drizzle of honey. Yeah. And you've got a ton of protein and fat in there, which is great, but it's not like eating eggs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So true. I'm such a sweet person for
Oh,
breakfast.
really?
Yeah. I'm like, it's been really interesting because I was vegan.
Okay.
Then I've like, I had a vegan business, and that obviously like, you are defined by your business.
Yeah.
Walked around with like a greedy vegan cap on. So you really are that person. And now I
love that.
Yeah. And now like,
I love how we go through so many phases in life.
Honestly.
And at the time we're in them, we're like, this is me.
I know.
Yeah,
but you have to then like you have to redefine your goals and redefine who you are. And I think especially if you have businesses yourself, obviously when you work for a company it's slightly different because you can go home and separate yourself, but if you are that business or that brand, then you have to really become that. 100%. And it's then when you close that, it's like, now what? It's really hard to go through that. But the whole alternative milk situation is really interesting, and like I've now incorporated like Greek yogurt back in, but again like organic, full fat, like Greek style, not style, but Greek, like yogurt.
Exactly.
And I had someone on recently and we spoke about raw milk. And I'm now like, I want to be the healthiest version of myself. And I do follow the plant-based principles. Like I understand the ancestral so much. And I think I like have similar thoughts, but from a plant-based side.
Totally.
But the raw milk thing is really interesting, and like I love talking about it with people because people have really split thoughts on it. Some people are like, no, it's so dangerous, but then some people are like, well, if it's being sold, the chances of it, they'll be so strict because it can be dangerous. Totally. They won't put out anything that's not going to be completely right. Because,
exactly.
So it's so interesting.
Yeah.
But I do think the alternative milks, unless you go for like Plenish or or yogurts and all the gums and thickeners. Like,
oh my God, I know, it's crazy. I think to be honest with you, like my main thing is whatever I do, or whatever anyone does, the aim is to just be the best quality of that version. And I think the way in which to achieve that is to go for the least processed version of whatever it is. Like, look at the ingredients label, obviously. I'm just sort of, I wouldn't say I'm like super strict with everything, and also I can't be because I have kids, and so it's not like I can pour loads of time and energy into making sure that everything is like on point all the time. But I think just generally, just good quality whole foods, organic. And you can't go that wrong, really.
Completely. And like I was having a conversation with my mum, and she was like, oh my God, like what do I do? Like, there's so much information out there, all of this. And I was like,
totally.
If you just, and again, I mentioned earlier, like we're from Somerset, you know, that's like the home of like great dairy.
Farms, it's like Valley as well.
Yeah, like you've got everything.
And
I was like, Mum, like you've got everything on your doorstep. If you ate like
oh my God,
local,
farm shops, like
exactly, like local eggs, local meat.
Perfect.
You've got the time. Go and find all those lovely produce. Like that's what you should be doing.
100%.
But again, as you said, if you're going to spend all your time being meticulous over it, stress is the biggest killer. So
exactly. This
chill.
is my point. Exactly. That's the thing. I've been there. Like I was 100% orthorexic for sure. Just like obsessing over it so much that it was so unhealthy.
Yeah, completely.
So I'm just like, I feel like my thing on it as well is that everything else, like obviously food is such a big pillar to living like a good life and being well. But when you look at your whole life and what's feeding you, I think there's so many aspects that are just as important.
Completely.
Yeah.
So you're a mum of 2. How do you treat food with your boys? Because I find this, and I kind of panic about myself to be a mum because of this. Because like, I think the relationship you have with food then filters down to your children, and their relationship with food starts really young. And I just have many thoughts on like mums and their children and food, and like how to do it. So where do you stand with it all?
Again, I'm so sort of like, look, let's just roll with it. That kind of is. I feel like as I've got older and having kids as well, it's actually forced me into more of like, okay, I need to be more. Like I'm not like a type A at all. Like and me and my partner are different in this way. I mean, I don't know if he's necessarily a type A, but he's definitely more like regimented and like, A to B, boom, 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 like very masculine oriented. Whereas I'm like, go with the flow, let's just see, But anyway, I feel like, that's how I've been with my boys generally. And what's interesting is that my second one is such a foodie. So he will eat pretty much anything. And he's just like, loves it. My older one, he does love food. It's not that he's sort of, he's definitely more of like a fruit bat. If he could like live on fruit, he would. Like the fruit bowl just ends up like, I have to replenish fruit all the time because he's just like an apple fiend. And he's actually got better with like, he's eating like greens now, and he likes green beans and broccoli, and
nice.
So they're generally quite good. I just haven't been, I've just sort of given them a mix of like, I'll try and give them what we have, and then if they're not going to eat it, then I'll just give them stuff I know they're going to they're going to like. I feel like in the early days I tried to be like, I want them to eat like all these different things, but a lot of the time you make nice stuff and it doesn't, they don't have it, and then you kind of feel a bit, it's like really demoralizing because you're like, I've just spent all that time doing that, you don't want it. So I just kind of focus on the basics, and generally I'll do like a bentos type thing, and because they like having like different stuff, and I'm the same. I like having like a bit of this, bit of that.
Okay, that's good.
And
I guess if you're buying like organic and good quality, then they're having
exactly
that.
Exactly.
So like, what about, so for example, Coca-Cola in the house? Like
no.
There
are some fundamental things for sure. Funny enough, George, he hasn't had one in ages. Actually, we've been getting we have a Planet Organic down the road, so we're very lucky that it's like we have the alternative. But he loves a Diet Coke. But those are the few things that I definitely probably won't.
Because like I would be the same. I would like no, but it's funny because my mom was like that with my brother and I. And then we went to a party once, and apparently we were literally like, please, like literally like, oh my God, amazing. And my mom looked over like, same, actually. And was like, wait, this is terrible. Like they are going crazy. Like I look like a really strict parent. And so, but then my brother and I never, ever, ever drink Coke now, ever.
Same.
But like
on holiday, I feel like, I don't know, holiday is kind of like amnesty, isn't it? I feel like, on holiday, I don't know if I would now even, but I just think like there's generally quite a limit to what you can get on when you go to like Spain or something, you go in a restaurant, it kind of tends to be like Coke and I don't know. So I might have like a Diet Coke once a year or something. It's like just because I really fancy it on holiday.
Yeah, no, completely.
But yeah, apart from that, no.
But it is hard. Like if you're really strict, like I would want my children to be like healthy and like I want to make all these like homemade smoothies for them and like homemade pancakes and da.
Yeah.
And then they go to a friend's house and they have like
totally.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Celebrations and like all this other stuff.
I mean, we so obviously my mum was a nutritionist growing up, so we didn't have like a sweetie cupboard or like we had like snacks and stuff. She wasn't ultra strict. Like we would still get a Mackie D's now and then. It wasn't like super strict, but we definitely didn't have anything in the house much. So I was the same. I'd go to friends' house and be like, whoa. Like, like this is amazing. I'd be like bouncing off the walls when I came home.
Yeah. It's like trying to find that balance. Like you don't want,
exactly.
You don't want to be like, we're going to go to McDonald's and have a treat. Because we're like, no, we don't want it to be like them to think that's a treat.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a hard one. Yeah. It's a real hard one. But that's good, I guess. Like you've got great things in their house. They're having that. You seem quite chilled about it.
I feel like if like 70% of their diet is like generally good, and it's organic and it's good meat or fish or good veggies, then the rest can be like whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. And I think if you're relaxed, they're relaxed. I think
exactly.
Though that moment where you start getting really, really hyper worried and stressed about it.
Totally.
Or I think also if you're, as a mum, if you're struggling with your relationship with food, then that
without a
they're
doubt.
going to pick up on that.
Yeah, you don't even have to say much and
they'll be aware. So that's really interesting. So exercise we've touched on, and what works for you now exercise wise? Like what works for your body? What do you tend to do, and what did you do, and what do you do now?
I've gone through all the phases.
Yeah.
So as I said, like obviously kind of years ago I was doing all the kind of really intense like HIIT sprints, heavy weights. I do like weights now actually, but and then I went kind of much more into like Pilates, just did like Pilates and yoga, and that really helped at the time. I think with movement is it's so individual depending on where you're at, what's going to work for you at the time, the rest of your lifestyle. So for instance now I'm honestly I probably get 1 or 2 sessions in a week max. I'd love to get in more, but one, my youngest has only just started sleeping through the night. And so it's like a recovery thing, and also 2, it's just literally time. So in an ideal world, I think as my youngest gets a bit older, my ideal situation would be 3 or 4 sessions a week, and do a mix of like resistance training, a bit of boxing for my cardio, obviously walk wherever whenever possible, a Pilates, and then a yoga. So like quite balanced.
I think that's great. Again, it's like same as diet, isn't it? Balance is key.
Diversity, balance, and also just make sure you're enjoying it.
Once it becomes a chore and like repetitive.
Exactly.
But I do think you have to go through all these journeys to then realise what works for you. Because I remember I was hit girl. I was like, if I'm not sweating and I'm not like jumping around, it's not working.
I know.
And like this was until recently. Really? And I then trained for a marathon last year.
Oh, cool.
And
in London?
Yeah, and I got injured. I had to pull out. So
oh my God.
And so during that, my physio was like, you're gonna have to stop. You're gonna have to stop. You're gonna have to do low impact. And I was like, low what? Like that doesn't exist in my world. And like I'm a big gym person or a big exercise person. I do it 6 times a week, which is a lot, but like for me that's how I
totally get it. Before I had kids I was the same. 6 days
it's
a week,
now not high impact, so it's not
as bad.
But and he was like low impact, and I was like, this is just not going to work for me. Like that's just not a thing. So then I started doing Pilates, which is what everyone does, and they're like, this is not really going to work. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And I did it because I had to, because that was low impact. And now I'm like,
it doesn't have to. It is low impact technically, but also it can be, if it's done right and you're doing it either the right person. Like I actually trained to become a trainer in that era that I was like off the pill, stopped modeling completely, and I went into like fitness and wellness and whatever. I trained to be a trainer, and the more that what I learned was actually more from like trainers in the industry. I learned a lot from a few really, really amazing trainers. which, you know, took me down a route of much more kind of like low resistance. Like I love bands, I love gliders, I love, you know, it's more as well about how good you are at engaging your body more than what you're doing. So how connected and grounded you are in your body as to how well, like what you're gonna get out of the workout.
So true.
Because a lot of people just kind of like flail around and like, you know, do stuff, and it's like, you know, you're not engaging, you're not actually connected to what you're doing.
I find that with some classes sometimes when they're like, they do a move and they quickly switch it up, and I'm like, wait, no, I wanted to do that.
I didn't get what I needed out
I
of
didn't
that.
get, like that was really good, but I need to do that like 20 more times, just slowly. And like
100%.
I prefer doing like 3 things like slow and like really, really do them. Rather than like flitting around all over the place.
I mean, when I started doing that more, I mean, I danced when I was younger, so I kind of feel like I had that just like body aware, like the groundedness, that body awareness that comes from that. But yeah, it wasn't until when I started training in that way and doing a lot of like different angles, leg weights, gliders, and like you said, like just really, really slowing it down and taking my time, my body just like transformed. Like it just, the whole composition changed, and it's good. So I want to touch on modeling. So how was that in terms of, did you feel a pressure? I feel like it's quite a silly question because obviously there's a pressure, but like, did you feel there was a pressure on to look a certain way, to be a certain size, and how was that industry? So yeah, without a doubt, I think it's just ingrained. It's like a way of life. It's not even, do you know what I mean? It's just a way of, you know, especially sort of in those early years. Like, as I said, I started at 15, 16. And I did a lot more at the time, a lot more sort of like editorial, more high fashion stuff, which requires you to be a lot thinner. And so as soon as I started to kind of gain a bit of weight, you know, got a bit curvier, I started to really feel the pressure. And also I got that pressure back from my agents at the time. So it was like a, you know, and also this was a time when like Instagram wasn't even, it had just started, you know, so everyone was still posting like random fucking shit on their Instagram, you know, with like crappy filters. So it was before kind of all the body positivity movement and stuff like that. So it was just kind of like, really ingrained. And I remember there being a time when I just genuinely absorbed so much of my thinking space. Like when I look back right now, I'm like, my God, like what that energy and what that energy could have been like channeled into, but it was channeling into like me just obsessing over my body and like, you know, even just like walking past like my reflection, I'd be like, do you know, just aware. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I'm like, I'm so, I don't, like, even talking about the food thing as well, like I don't even really think about what I'm gonna eat. Like I just sort of see what's, you know, in the house, or if I'm out, I'll just get whatever I want to get. You know, I'm not worried about having like a pastry on a random day. You know, it's not like, oh, it's a Sunday, I'm gonna like treat myself. I just don't live like that anymore. And it's the same with my body. I think also having kids does that to you as well. It's like there's so much more important things to fucking be thinking about.
Completely.
And it just comes from like growth and maturity. But I suppose the modeling industry is like that. I feel like I'm still in it. I'm sort of like this a little bit. But I definitely don't feel any pressure or.
That's good. I guess I was kind of thinking, like, Instagram now is probably a bit like the modeling industry back then in terms of like, I think people feel pressure all the time now.
In a different way. In
a different way.
Yeah, it's not so much like the heroin chic thing, I don't think. I mean, there's still aspects of it for sure, but I think it's more, there's like little micro cultures, isn't there? Like micro cultures and like what those pressures bring to that little micro culture. It's really interesting.
It is. Yeah. And it's funny how like your body was naturally changing as you were maturing, but like you had the pressure to still be the body shape of a 15-year-old. And you're like, but that's not normal because I'm not 15 anymore. So how is that? And I think a lot of people still think that. Like they'll maybe go through their feed and be like, I want to look like this. And point to something. They don't know how old this person is. They don't know. And it could literally be a 15-year-old. Because 15-year-olds now, as I mentioned earlier,
totally.
Like look a lot more mature.
Be real.
We were saying about like,
I know.
It is crazy. Like what we
crazy.
see is just not.
I know.
Yeah, it is wild.
So funny enough, talking about sort of your like goal and like the pressure you put on that goal and kind of what that does to like how it, you know, plays out. I so spent all that time obsessing over it and like being meticulous and wanting to be slimmer and wanting to be like a particular way. And then I got pregnant. I actually felt really, before I got pregnant, in fairness, I was in a really good space. I was like training really well. I was like training 5-6 times a week. Like really, I was in a really good space mentally and physically actually. Because I'd kind of gone through that whole kind of like nightmare of the hormone thing, like really learned about my body, and I felt really just genuinely strong and good. But just talking on the kind of like thin conversation, after I had my first baby, honestly, within a week, I didn't know this, but all of the fat from your bum and your thighs turns to breast milk.
Oh my gosh.
Not all of it, but like a lot of it.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, crazy. So I kind of woke up and was like, whoa, I have like huge boobs and no bum.
Like, what's happening?
Yeah, what's happening in my body? And also the stress of obviously just like giving birth and like that whole thing. But and I was really ultra thin, like after having my first kid, like genuinely just really slim. I think again, just the amount of energy that I was expending, you know, I was a new mom. And so, but I didn't have any, you know, need or desire for it. It was almost like the universe was like, okay, yeah, like experience that now without having the, do you know what I mean? Not to say that that's like the best way to be. Like, I don't think I was, you know, I wasn't like nourished and strong and healthy in the way that I was before I got pregnant. But it's just interesting how we can sort of like obsess over something and then we can kind of get it later down the line and it's not even like, it's not even our goal anymore.
Completely.
Because
but I
we
think
don't put that,
the more
pressure.
you think about it, the more stress you put on and actually you hold.
Exactly.
Whereas the minute you let go,
surrender is the key.
It then just happens.
Yeah.
Because you're happier.
Yeah.
And it's
and
just
I think
natural.
that just like spans across the whole spectrum of life.
Completely.
Like the moment that we just hand it over. My mum has this like great saying, literally just hand it over. Like whenever my sister and I are just like in a, you know, like what's going on, she's like, just hand it over, like it will get taken care of. And I think that's literally it. Just hand it over, like plant the seed of a goal and then just nourish it with the day-to-day moments of your life.
Yeah,
you know?
so true.
Just like get into your day, your relationships, your connections, conversations, food, like all the simple things. And then the big goals will just land.
Yeah, I think even like you say with everything, like even with work, like if you're stressing over an opportunity, there's so much pressure on it, it's just not going to happen. If you're desperate to have a boyfriend and you're like really wanting it, it's just not going to happen. Or like,
totally.
And then
or you bring in the wrong people, or you bring in the wrong situations that aren't, like we were saying, like aren't in tune with your highest like potential and your highest version of you. You're not going to welcome in what resonates with that.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah,
it's so interesting. So now you're kind of training to be a health coach, or you've trained?
I have, yes. So I qualified when I was pregnant with my second.
Okay, amazing.
So I qualified. It was actually the November before he was born, and he was born in February.
Okay, amazing.
And then obviously that he'll be 2 in February. So I qualified a while ago.
Nice.
I loved it. It was such a good course. And I feel like I'm sort of like entering into that
it's
world
exciting.
a lot more now. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
And what were some of the key things you learned during it? Like obviously you went through a whole self-discovery, you're really health aware, you know a lot anyway.
Yeah.
But doing a course, you're probably learning more
totally,
like more practices and practical
practical stuff. Yeah, and also the whole coaching, a lot of it really and truly was the coaching aspect of it, of like how to hold space with people. Because I think there's a misconception with coaching that you're like telling them what to do all the time, and it's like, do this and you'll achieve that, or do this. It's like, you gently give nudges and like tips and stuff, but generally I think a sign of a good coach is someone who can create a space in which that person can come to these realizations themselves. In other areas of their life they won't. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a lot more emotional, it's a lot more, or they're in there busy with their lives that they don't have the time to actually kind of ponder. I think a good coach is someone who asks the right questions and draws it out of you.
Yes. And like is comfortable with a pause. Yeah. So you're there thinking.
Totally. Yeah.
And that's horrible. Like sometimes silence is like really uncomfortable. Yeah. But like if you just let them think, and they'll fill the 100%. Gap.
It's funny enough you say that actually. I think you'd love this course, by the way. Because they talk about that. one of the things that they say is like, don't be afraid of silence. You know, don't be afraid of like having to constantly kind of bombard them with things to do, because at the end of the day, like we were saying, habits are habitual, and so in order to create long-lasting change for someone to it's I genuinely believe people can change. I think obviously there's like probably a limit depending on that person's life experience and their like inner workings. But generally, I think we're really malleable, but it just takes time.
Yeah.
You know, and so the little incremental things that we can do are going to be what creates like the long-lasting change. But it's not going to happen overnight.
No,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
I think because everyone is different. If you're there telling everyone what to do, it might not work for them. So I guess that helps.
Totally. That's actually another thing that so their main things with this course that I did was bio-individuality. So literally every single person on this planet is completely different. And also at different times too. So like what's working for me now won't work for me in 5 years or 10 years or whatever. So there's that. And then there's also your primary food and your secondary food. So your primary food is everything off your plate. So your relationships, your spiritual practice, your creativity, your career, your finances, like all the aspects that feed into living like a really like full, nourished life. And then the food, and then your secondary food is the food on your plate. So that then complements everything.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's
really
so
good.
cool because
It's
like
great.
Primary also feeds you.
Yeah.
But like it's not feeding you.
It's your nutrition, you know?
Yeah.
Like it is your nutrition, the way whatever we feed our minds, what we watch, what we listen to, what podcasts we listen to, who we hang around with. That's my main, I think that's honestly my main thing is relationships is the biggest thing.
Definitely. Yeah. And like also curating your feed on Instagram is another one that I think is really important.
Yeah.
Like I was speaking to someone recently and I was like, they just weren't very happy. And I was like, well, what's like your social media saying to you? Like, is that also fueling your unhappiness? Because it should be motivating you.
Yeah.
Like social media is amazing.
Yeah.
Like there are negatives to it, but you can create it to be a like generator of good things for you rather than like sucking the life out of you. Like if you're finding like you're comparing yourself or like it's not good.
And it's also subliminal as well. Like even if you don't think it feels like that, even just the act of being on it a lot is draining you, you know? So that's even that in itself, it's sort of like we are bombarded with so much information all the time. So it's really just creating good boundaries around everything, isn't it? And
yeah, definitely.
Coming back to you. And I think that's the thing, even when we were saying like it is simple, honestly, like it's simple to be healthy, I think.
It is. It's
really simple, but it's just in the way in which we live our lives in the modern society, that's what makes it harder. I think it's more to do with that than it is to do with us.
Yes.
You know?
And comparing ourselves and thinking, oh, they do it that way, so maybe I need to do it that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's information overload.
Totally.
Like we obviously there's
and it's bringing ourselves out of our, it's like if we're trying to harness like our intuition in order to like make decisions in life that are for our highest potential. If we're constantly outsourcing, that's, it's not actually coming from within. So if you're looking for answers and you're looking for ways that are going to make your dreams or your goals come true, a lot of it is doing the things that are going to bring you back to center. Yeah. And they're the simple things, the simple, boring things.
Completely. Is there any wellness practice or ritual or routine that you're currently like loving that is like a non-negotiable? It might not even be every day, but something that you love doing.
Like right now. So right now it's a sauna. I love a sauna. So I
have just started doing it. Like I've always saunaed a bit.
Yeah.
But I'm now doing it like
same. Now I'm like every week at least once or twice if I can. Obviously, this is the thing. I kind of have to like, what's the word? Like prioritize different things depending on what I've got going on and like, the boys and stuff. But yeah, a sauna, thankfully, my partner's gym, we've got one in there. So yeah, anytime you want to come, we can have a sauna date and chill.
Nice.
And then also my youngest is now not sleeping in our room. And with the only bath we've got is in our ensuite. So for like almost 2 years, basically, I didn't have a bath because I put him down to bed and then obviously I wouldn't want to use the bathroom. But I'm like, especially in the winter months, like I love a bath. Yeah. I love the ritual of it. I think it's one of the easiest things to ground me and make me feel good is like a really good bath with candles and salts and like all the things.
So nice.
But yeah, in the summer, funny enough, talking of that, like in the summer, my main thing was going to, have you been to Hampstead Ponds?
No.
You go south, aren't you? So obviously it'd be like a real trek. Okay, so I started going to, I'm like going off topic here, kind of.
Yeah.
But I started going to the women's ponds in Hampstead Heath.
Oh my gosh, so nice.
Yeah.
Is that like cold swimming?
So it's like a lake, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a lake. Yeah, it's the lakes.
Oh my God, so nice.
Ponds, actually, it's called ponds. But yeah, that was my little ritual. So I would, and I find like as I've become a mum, I find the things that I need to like really sort of like get me in a good headspace kind of need to be more extreme.
Yeah. Help me.
I need like,
shocking
please.
things.
Yeah, exactly. Like jumping into fucking cold water, like that's gonna stop me out, you know?
Matcha isn't gonna cut it.
No, exactly. A 10-minute meditation and like a matcha is not, this isn't, no.
No. I need to go extreme.
So I got into the habit of like, fuck, I need to get to the ponds.
Yeah.
And like, if there wasn't a parking space, I'd be like, no, like this is the one thing that I need for myself.
I love that though.
Yeah, so I don't know, I think like water is a great, the elements for me are like the best ritual. Anything that brings in like warmth, water,
I love that.
Yeah.
We have a final question, which I love asking people, and it's, what would your last meal be? Starter, main course, and dessert.
Oh my gosh, okay. Oh my God.
It's really tough.
It is really tough.
And it changes every day.
Yeah.
Today.
Okay, starter. I do love I'm not gonna like butcher how they say this, but I do love an aubergine parmigiana.
Same. Oh my God, so nice.
I feel like a really good one, like you just can't go wrong. Like it's just like so good.
On this, I didn't actually realize the extent of this. You know, Parmesan is like insane
for you. Yeah,
like it's
actually
so good.
I think it's actually
it's
raw
milk.
Yeah, it's raw milk. It's like full of it's just basically like full of good stuff, really high in protein. Yeah, I know.
I've always had Parmesan, although I was vegan. I still always had Parmesan like on pasta and sauce.
Naughty bit of Parmesan.
Yeah, I love it. And so I'm now like, oh, it's great for me.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
yummy.
Yeah. So an aubergine parmigiana, and then I'm such a like variety person. Like I don't even go there that much, but like like the ottolenghi vibe of like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah, I feel like something like that.
Yeah,
that would
like a Lebanese,
like a nice, like nice meat, some good salads. Yeah. I love like Boxing Day dinner, like leftovers from Christmas Day.
Yes,
bubble and squeak, some pickled onions.
Yeah, some
like just a mishmash.
Yeah, even like at home, like a leftovers, like fridge raid. Yeah. Oh my God, the best.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically leftovers.
Yeah. My main last meal is leftovers.
Yeah. And then for dessert, I'd have my mum's carrot cake.
Oh my God, nice.
Yeah, it's so good. Love I actually think she originally got it from a Mary Berry.
Good
classic.
but
then she kind of like made it more healthy.
Nice.
But it's banging. It's so good.
Love that.
Yeah.
Manon, thank you so much for joining me. This has been so good. A big like health chit chat, but also I feel like the biggest message from this is like, just enjoy it, chill. Let's not overcomplicate.
Just enjoy your life.
Yeah.
I saw just something the other day that said like, stop obsessing over healing and just start fucking living.
Yeah, so true.
Like,
so true. Best place to end.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.